it's such a good question because it keeps changing. Well, it doesn't really keep changing, but you keep growing, don't you? I think at this point, feminism means actually being interested in women's lives, taking women seriously. I use that term seriously to mean as if women mattered, because in most studies of international politics or local politics or war and peace, actually, women's lives are not taken very seriously. Women are lumped together with families or households or refugees or children, and so for me, what I really, because I remember when I wasn't a feminist, I was never an anti-feminist. I was just not smart enough to be a feminist. And as I became a feminist, I realized I was really curious about women's lives. I wanted to listen to all kinds of women, not just women I admire, although I listen to a lot of women I admire, but all kinds of women's lives, rural women or city women, women who are street vendors or women who are scientists. I listen to all kinds of women to try and understand the world. And what I think is so great about becoming a feminist, and everyone still keeps becoming, you know, you're not a block of marble, you keep becoming. And as you keep becoming, you get more and more curious. You want to listen to more and more women. You want to make sense of women's lives in order to make sense of the world. Or put it the other way, I have found, because I remember when I wasn't asking feminist questions, that now that I ask feminist questions, I think I understand the world better. Well, you know, when I first, I mean, we've all grown up in the nuclear world, even if we don't think about it every day. I spent an awful lot of time thinking that I couldn't understand nuclear politics. And I think one of the things that a feminist approach to nuclear politics does is makes me realize there's a lot I can understand. There's a lot that I can absorb and think about and put into my own worldview. And I don't have to be a technical, scientific expert. And I think one of the things that feminist understandings does, and it certainly has done for me, but I think for a lot of people, is that it makes you realize that you don't have to be some rarefied expert to make sense of the nuclear world. And for me, it's been so important, for instance, to really listen to Aboriginal women in testing sites, that is the French and the Russian and the US and the British testing sites, and to listen to women in Siberia, to listen to women in Kazakhstan, these are both test sites, to listen to women in the Australian, what is referred to as the outback, to listen to women in the South Pacific, to listen to women in the US, Nevada, and Bikini Island areas. That is, to listen to women makes me smarter about the nuclear world. And I think it's one of the great advantages of developing, all of us together, because you can't do it by yourself, developing a feminist curiosity about nuclear weapons, is to look at the whole process by which any nuclear weapon is developed. And it's never just developed on some expert mathematician's blackboard. It's always developed in the Australian outback. It's always developed in the South Pacific or in Nevada or in the Russian areas of indigenous people. And we should not forget about the Russians here. The French and the Americans and the British have a lot to answer for, but so do the Russians. And they have also used indigenous women. So I think that's the great advantage of having a feminist curiosity about nuclear weapons, is you don't leave it to the experts. Nuclear weapons affect all of us, and all of us can make sense of it, especially if we pay really close attention to women's experiences of the making of and the testing of and the holding of nuclear weapons.